Hello everybody and welcome back to Mighty Modern. I'm Corbin Hosler and this is Oops All Spells. I cannot say I ever thought I would be playing this deck in Modern and Pioneer in any video I recorded since I don't do Legacy content, but Oops All Spells is a Legacy deck. That's where it comes from, and it's all thanks to these cards right here in Modern. I'm going to get to this. This is a very complicated deck that, by the way, I'm not an expert with, so it's going to be an adventure here today, but hey, isn't it always? All right, so Balustrade Spy. When enters battlefield, target player reveals from top cards from their library until they hit a land, put the rest into the graveyard. Along with Undercity Informer. Same thing for 4 mana, except in this case you can pay 3 and then 1 to sack. Same thing, you sack a creature, target player reveals so they hit a land, put into a graveyard. Well, in Legacy, you have enough sources of free mana that you can just play no lands and flip your deck into your graveyard and win from there. In Modern, that's never been possible. Until now. Until Zendikar Rising, Double Face, Modal cards, lands. These count as spells on the front side in your deck, which means when you go to mill until you hit a land, there will be no lands to hit. However, you will have mana because you can put these into play as lands. So there's a whole bunch of them here. We're going to ignore most of them. They just exist, right? We have all these crazy lands we can do stuff with to make mana. That's what our deck does. Okay, so this is what we know. We know that we now have the ability to just flip our deck into our graveyard. And we have the ability to have mana and have lands while having a no-land deck. So what are we going to do with that? Well, the way it works, in addition to getting, obviously, some freebies off of Creeping Chill here when it gets milled, you also will then have 4 Vengevines in your graveyard. So, how do we cast these Vengevines? Well, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one here. The Undercity Informer or Balustrade Spy that we've cast, that will be the first one. When that happens, when we put all of our library into our graveyard, we're going to have some triggers happen. The Creeping Chill triggers are, of course, a part of that. Our opponent's going to lose 3 or hopefully 12, and we'll gain 12. However, we will also have Narcomoeba triggers. The Narcomoeba will go into our graveyard and will be put back. It's all going to happen at once. All the cards go from your library to your graveyard all at once, and then all the triggers happen. Narcomoeba goes to the graveyard, and then will interplay. At which point, the Sword of the Meeks in your graveyard will trigger, because they see a 1/1 creature enters play. They will then interplay from your graveyard. So at that point, we still have Vengevines in our graveyard. We have our library in our graveyard, except we've returned Narcomoebas and Sword of the Meeks into play. And we've cast a creature spell. Well, then you move to Salvage Titan. Exile 3 artifact cards from your graveyard. Return it to your hand. Well, you can see we have enough artifacts here. We're going to have 3 in our graveyard. We put Salvage Titan in our hand. Then we sacrifice 3 artifacts rather than paying its mana cost. That will be our 3 Sword of the Meeks. We then cast a Salvage Titan. Salvage Titan is now our second creature spell cast of the turn, and all those Vengevines come back and swing for the other 12 damage to kill our opponent. Simple, right? That's the deck. It's that simple. If you want to look at it that way. I mean, rounding it off here, the Pentad Prisms, they give you the extra mana. We got it. Canister and a couple other people. Piotr Glogowski, the Mythic Champion, the Magic Pro Leaguer, Canister himself did well with this deck. So this is hot off the presses here, coming to Mighty Modern. This crazy combo deck that I frankly have no idea how to pilot. It kind of felt to me like the first time I ever looked at a Dredge deck and said, I just don't know what to do. But you know what? We're gonna figure it out together. So yeah, I kind of combined some of the lists here, but we got a Pact, a Thoughtseize. Let's talk about some of the other cards here. Simian Spirit Guides, because, you know, why not go faster? The Talismans. Brainstorm Brewery preview card, I might add. My podcast, we got to preview these. So we got a couple of those. They ramp you. They give you the colors, more artifacts, more artifact fodder. So moving down the line here, we free roll 4 ley lines because obviously it's a disaster for us to get Thoughtseize or Inquisition or anything like that. And hey, oops all spells, and you know your deck's trying to do some very specific things. You may as well play the ley lines. You have the spots for it since you're not playing any ley, right? So that's that. There's one other card here I think we should mention. I don't even know what to do with this yet. Phantasmagorian. this old Manaless Dredge card here, but when you cast this spell, any player may discard 3 if they do counter it. Discard 3, return it from your graveyard to your hand. So this is our... okay, this makes sense. Figuring this out as we go, this makes sense. Because what happens if we draw our Sword of the Meek? I was actually considering this earlier. How do we then get 3 artifacts in play? Well, it turns out, with the triggers on the stack, with the Narcomoeba triggers on the stack, so before Narcomoeba has entered play, the Phantasmagorian will be in your graveyard, and you can discard 3 cards, including the Sword of the Meek, in your hand, to get them into your graveyard, at which point the Narcomoebas will then be allowed to interplay, and all of your swords were triggered. We figured it out, everybody. Look, it's Mining Modern. This is what we're doing right here. We've got, and I didn't even mention this, by the way. Oh, it's a Charbelcher sideboard plan. Because guess what? That works with Oops All spells, too, when you are playing this strategy here. We got some more packs, some Intervention Pact, some Nature's Claim, and so on. So, everybody, that's the deck. Oops All spells in Modern. Here we go. All right, it is Oops All spells in Modern. We're on the draw. I think this is a mulligan, though. Look, it's got 2 lands. It's got the talismans. I guess I could try to cast some Vengevines with this hand and some Creeping Chills. Probably just gonna ship it back, though. Looks like a much better hand, honestly. Okay, so let's figure this out, actually. Okay, so we can go turn 2, Pentad Prism. So I just need 2 of these. So the color I definitely probably will not need here, I guess, is the blue one. I don't think it makes a huge difference. But it's just turn 2, play the Pentad Prism, turn 3, win. With this Leyline out, just because I can. Not bad. What do you say? We're on the draw, so we're not quite as free as we want it to be. And our opponent has chosen not to play a land. So our opponent probably can't beat the Leyline of Sanctity and just don't want to show us what they're playing, but they do want to know what we're playing. Or they just skipped it. I don't know. Possible they just misclicked through it. Kind of confused. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You know, I guess the thing I said was the only thing that made any sense. But apparently they just misclicked through it. Well, that's fine. Honestly, I think it probably did not make a hint of difference to this game, as our Jund opponent over there not able to Inquisition or Thoughtseize us. And I think they saw the writing on the wall, because here you go. It's time for some fireworks. Let's cast an Undercity Informer. Let's target ourselves with that Undercity Informer. Sacrifice it. Mill the deck. Put the deck into the graveyard. Oh, look. Okay, all those cards into our graveyard now. And we've got some triggers once our opponent's done looking. Yeah, that Wrenn and 6 was not going to get the job done. Our opponent was just extremely dead there. Because think, if they hit their land drop and they have what is probably their best card in this situation, which is Kolaghan's Command, they still don't win. Right? They still can't do anything here. I don't even know if they'd have the modes for it. Alright, so here we go. Creeping Chills and Narcomoeba triggers. Everything in our hand is fine. Alright, let's get all these triggers here. Clear them off the stack. Put our opponent down to 8. Alright. Bring back all of the Sword of the Meeks. Okay, now we have 3 artifacts in play. Let's go to our graveyard. Find that Salvage Titan over here. Let's return it by exiling 3 artifacts from our graveyard. Now let's cast this thing by sacrificing 3 artifacts. And now let's get 4 Vengevines into play. Not bad, what do you say? By the way, Vengevine, it has haste. And now we attack our opponent for 12 more points of damage and win the game. And that's how you oops all spells in Modern, everybody. Let's see if we can win a sideboard game, I guess. Alright, Jund, huh? So we got Scavenging Oozes to deal with? That's pretty annoying. I actually don't really have any good ways to ever beat a Scavenging Ooze. I don't even think I need this. I don't think they're going to play anything like... I think the deck might just be fine. I guess the Charbelchers are how we beat the Scavenging Ooze, but I don't know how we're supposed to... I mean, Charbelcher through, a Jund player either, so... Yeah, this one's going to be a bit of a challenge, I think. But we will fight on and see what we can do. I mean, it is true that the Leyline of Sanctities that we just, sort of free roll in the main deck here, they are very, very good. Let's not discount that at all. I'd probably get rid of this Pact because frankly, our opponent's not going to cast anything that we can Pact, I think, that matters. Because all of their cards, they're going to come out before that becomes relevant, I think. To the point where we can't Pact the Tormod's Crypt or whatever, right? Or Scavenging Ooze on turn 2. And then having the Pact later doesn't do anything when that's what they're playing. So I think it's correct here. Now this hand has 3 lands in it, and a Balustrade Spy. I'm going to mulligan, though. No Leyline. Our opponent's going to rip apart our hand. Not that... Yeah, we just got to ship this. Alright, this is the keeper, just because it is what it is at this point. I think going to 5 is dangerous. I don't know. Our opponent went to 6. This hand has, I mean, it's whether one way you look at it, it's got 7 spells. Another way, it's got 6 lands. I think 6 lands might be closer than 7 spells in this circumstance here. It does have a Thoughtseize, though, which is one of our only ways to interact with a Scavenging Ooze. I'm going to keep it. And I don't know what I'm expecting here. I have a feeling the game 2 and 3s for this deck are just extremely difficult. Our opponent's probably just going to Thoughtseize... Oh, a Stomping Ground, huh? A Soul Guide Lantern. Well, I guess we do want those Nature's Claims. Okay. Exile each opponent's graveyard? That makes sense. Honestly, I was probably just... I probably have old Jund sideboard tech here. Well, that sucks, because I actually kept this hand on the basis of the Thoughtseize. That's unfortunate. Just Lava Axe yourself on turn 1. Oof, what is this thing? Wow. I can't beat any of this. A scoop. I understand it's crazy to scoop there, but we can't win. Right? We just actually can't beat a Soul Guide Lantern that I'm aware of until we get these Nature's Claims in there. I don't think that Nexus of Fate's doing anything for us here. Not really sure how to cut in this deck, though. I will tell you that. See if I can get away with removing 2 Creeping Chills, or if we're short on damage that way. In theory, we get 16 from the Vengevines and 6 from that, and it should be fine. There we go. This is good, though. This is what we were looking for. Leyline of Sanctity in hand. Undercity Informer in hand. No fast mana, but at least we do have mana. So this is the hand. And we just have to hope that our opponent doesn't have the turn 1 Plague. I mean, we hang out and hope to draw Nature's Claim. Our opponent, by the way, decided that they can't win without Soul Guide Lantern, I suppose, because they've mulliganed to 4. And there's our Leyline of Sanctity. So, okay. See what happens, I guess. I mean, we're lined up for this turn 4 to attempt a turn 4 victory. Our opponent has a Soul Guide. This is very annoying. Oof. All right. I'm just not really sure what we're supposed to do against any kind of graveyard. You just have to hope to draw your 4 Nature's Claims, but you're also playing a super fragile combo deck, right? Like you can't have a good. We want to draw ley lines. We want to draw combo cards. We want to draw fast mana. We want to draw disruption. We want to draw interaction. It is a bit of a struggle here. This deck is very explosive, but not particularly resilient, it seems, because we are just finding out that we are dead to any graveyard hate. And look, I'll show you the games like they are here on Mighty Modern. I'll put out 3 or 4 losses on video if that's what the deck is showing us, because this is the talk in Modern right now. This is the new hotness, and I'm going to put it through its paces and, see what we come up with. And that's what we're trying to do here. Ooh, a Belcher, you say? Well, I'm never going to have 3 extra mana to do it, so I think the only thing we can actually do is play the Belcher and hope that our opponent doesn't have Assassin's Trophy. They mulligan to 4, I'll remind you. So if we untap with the Belcher, we should win. And you know what? This is Assassin's Trophy mana, and they didn't do it. And that's a Tarmogoyf, which also may not do it, considering it's an 0-1. As Wrenn and 6, Instant and Sorceries have Retrace. Yeah, sure. A long time before that matters. It sure looks like I'm going to untap with this Goblin Charbelcher right now, folks. Let's do it. Spin that wheel. Lose the game, friendo. You're at a -29. We took it down. Oops, all spells game 1. Charbelcher game 3. I sat here saying, I don't know how we're supposed to beat graveyard hate. Well, we can't beat the graveyard hate. That's why we have the Charbelchers in the sideboard, and our opponent did not have the answers for it. What a match, everybody. Oops, all spells in Modern. Thanks, Zendikar Rising. All right, it's Oops, all spells time, and I guess that's what we're looking at here. I was like, wow, this hand's a mulligan. Oh, wait. That's just what this deck is. All right, so let's see. I'm trying to figure out what are we actually looking at here. That's a land. That's a land. That's a land. That's 3 lands. That's an Undercity Informer. There's a Thoughtseize. There is no fast mana. I think I keep it. Sorry about that delay there. My opponent was talking. All right, so our opponent has led on Misty Rainforest and passed it back, and now we'll now gotta figure out a Pelakka Caverns. There we go. My first ever dual face land on Magic Online. Here for the world to see. All right, so our opponent with the Triome start here. It's fine. Next turn we can Thoughtseize. We can play the other tap land. Then we have the Emeria's Call we can do on tap. So with 3 Undercity Informers in hand, I can actually just run it out on 3 lands. And in fact, that's definitely what I'm going to do. In retrospect, maybe I should have mulliganed. But obviously we have no idea what we're doing with this deck. And I thought about, maybe I should play a couple leagues, try to get good with this deck before I record it. No, this is cutting edge stuff. And we're going to be on the cutting edge, all right? And we got a mana leak. Taking out our Thoughtseize there, but that's why you play Thoughtseize, right? This is actually kind of nice. If that's the kind of stuff my opponent's leaning on right now, like if they just play Uro here, and then we play Undercity Informer, maybe we draw Simian Spirit Guide, the game's just over, folks. It just ends. Assuming, of course, we don't misclick. Now, my opponent holding up Counter Magic, I'm much less a fan of. Another White Source, so we can cast this Leyline. These cards are wild. I love it as a mechanic, though. I think it's great. Hey, look, it's an Uro. That makes sense. We are playing a format. Well, that's fine. It at least clears the way for the Undercity Informer. In fact, I'd love to just punish this greedy Uro player by... I mean, I don't know that they're a greedy Uro player, but every player that plays Uro is a greedy Uro player. Well, it's a land. It doesn't enter the battlefield tapped here. All right, well, we'll do this. We will pay the 3 life. Cast this Undercity Informer and pass. Okay, well, let's see what they're up to here. We weren't able to win immediately. However, let's see what they do. They have 3 other cards in their graveyard for the Uro. It's probably not so bad. Our 4th land comes into play tap, but look, it's this simple. If we untap with this Undercity Informer, the game's over. So they have to kill it on their turn before I have mana open, and then they have to answer 2 more of them. And oh, by the way, you know, if they kill this one, and then I just draw an untapped land, I just get to do it all at once, and then I get to try it again the next turn. So, looking pretty good for us at the moment, I think, anyways. I mean, who knows? Maybe our opponent's gonna cryptic command down our, our Vengevine attack step sort of thing here. We'll see, but maybe not. I mean, there's not even triple blue up over there. Ketcheria Triome, I believe that's what the Teamer one. Yeah. Okay. All right, well, here it is. It's a Growth Spiral main phase. I have to say, that's pretty good for us. That means they're digging. That limits what they're going to have. It also, it makes an untapped land a much more likely just be an actual win for us. This is annoying. It's actual strip. I mean, I say actual strip mine. You have to, 2 mana to activate it, but it is a strip mine. All of that said, though, I actually think we're just about to win this one. All right, let's see if we can figure out how to not screw this up. Sack this thing. Choose myself. Okay, here we go. There should be a whole mess of triggers that get thrown on the stack right now. Oh, look at the cards. It's our entire deck. Okay. Those are going to go into our graveyard now once our opponent's done looking. Now, here are our triggers. Well, I guess we're just going to win. What is that, turn 4? I mean, it's pretty slow, honestly, but... Okay, so the way it would have worked is the Narcomoebas would have come into play. One would assume there's 3 Sword of the Meeks in there and a Salvage Titan. All right, well, now we know our opponent... what am I doing? I concede. I won! Charbelcher time. Now, how the heck do you sideboard into your Charbelcher plan? Hopefully... I don't know. Do you just have to completely sideboard into Belcher? Is that how it works? Is that how boarding into Belcher works? What do I cut? I have to imagine you cut something like the Narcomoebas. So what's the package? I mean, is it just a 4-card package? It's just free? Could you just... Is the final boss, the final form of these Oops All Spells decks just going to be Belcher and this combo in the same main deck? Is it really that simple as to put 4 Goblin Charbelchers into my deck? Who knows? All right, then. I mean, I'm tempted to just run it back. It worked pretty well. Force our opponent to have the, I guess, a graveyard hate. Maybe some Belchers. No clue what you can even cut. Creeping Chill, maybe? A Talisman? Maybe? Who really knows? I do probably want some number of packs here. Yeah, the ley lines are actually kind of bad. I don't know. Maybe we want some. I don't know. I didn't actually really pay even good enough attention. It was Teamer. I don't know if it was 4 color. If there's anything we need to worry about there. I don't know. Like I said, who the heck knows? Modern's a wild place, everybody. That's why we're mining it every day. That was the idea when I created this series forever ago. Never expected it to last as long as it did or be anywhere near as... I guess the fact that I'm still, being allowed to make these, it means that it's done okay. So, all right, well, this has some lands in it. It's got a Simian Spirit Guide in it. No combo pieces, though. Shipping that one. Keeping this one. Right? We have white and green mana. We have no black mana. We have to keep it, though. What the heck else are we doing, right? Heck, Mulligan's a benefit. Let's put that put that Creepy Chill on the bottom of the deck. We're on the draw too, even. Well, there's the Nexus of Fate. I think I even forgot to mention the Nexus of Fate. Oh, by the way, your last card's a Nexus of Fate every time. Well, no black mana it is, so I guess we'll just play this thing. Put it into play tapped. So 3 life to put this thing into play untapped. On the other side, you get 2/4/4 flyers, and your other creatures basically get indestructible. I like these cards. I like this cycle. I really like Zendikar Rising. I haven't yet figured out how to play limited of it. I have a very bad record on Arena, but I am having fun. I'll figure it out one day, right? We find a black source, we can just Thoughtseize our opponent. That makes things a little easier, and that's a black source. Also, just try to win right now. I have access to 4 mana next turn, right? Beautiful. I say right now, next turn. So we actually get a Thoughtseize here on turn 2, and then on turn 3, we get to try to win. And as it turns out, we're going to get mana leaked, but hey, sometimes you get mana leaked. But yeah, now that we have the black source, it's as simple as, and our opponent might even get greedy and let it resolve or something weird like that, right? So, yep. All right, I think we go for it. I mean, if it gets counterspelled, it gets counterspelled. Probably going to get counterspelled. I mean, it doesn't seem like the best matchup in the world for us, but yeah, it is what it is, right? We will be mana leaked again. Who knows? Maybe we'll just eventually, just loop a Nexus of Fate. Cast a Turntimber Symbiosis. Put a Simian Spirit Guide into play and turn it into a 5/5. These are things we could do. Deck is something. I don't know if it's good, but it is certainly something. It's one of those things that conceptually is really cool in Magic. Oh, you can play no lands in your deck. But if it were ever truly good in Modern, it would not be fun at all. Alright, well, that's another land. Does this do anything? I can oh, it's actually good! I can actually return stuff! If I hit some more black sources here. That's good to know. Like, imagine we just draw Pentad Prism, right? And we put 2 counters on it. And then I had one of these in hand. In the future, right? I could just cast it. 6 mana, bring back a Undercity Informer. Very powerful Modern play. Are we dead now? Is it Mystic Sanctuary loops? This is possibly the least fun card I've seen printed in recent memory, and I understand the other cards that have been printed in recent memory. The fact that it has the basic island type is, look, you got your Uros, you got your Okos, you got all these cards that are just obvious, blatant examples of just insane power creep, but also just look at Mystic Sanctuary. Like, this is just stupid. Fetching a spell to the top of your deck in a blue deck, it's just not, it was never going to be good, healthy, right? It was never going to be fun. It was always going to be repetitive gameplay, and that's exactly what it does. It just creates cryptic command loops that are miserable. Doesn't mean they're unfair or too good or anything, but they are not fun. Anyways, that's probably even small bones, right? Compared to everything else going on in Magic, we did just have Uro banned. Alright, well, hey, we got a Sword of the Meek in play, though. So we got that going for us. Yeah, unfortunately, we've been Field of Ruined, and there's just not a lot I can do about that. Wonder what this game would have looked like had we had a Pact of Negation in the hand. Now, it's rough, too, because our opponent is probably playing Force of Negation in their deck, and Force of Negation doesn't stop our combo, right? Our combo actually relies on a creature, but it does, if they have a mana leak, they then have the free counterspell for our counterspell. So it kind of doesn't work out the way we want it to. Speaking of, there's the Pact of Negation. Well, if our opponent's going to do nothing to kill us, I guess we just keep passing the turn back. Let's see what happens. I wonder if there's room to play any, Can I play Serum Visions in this deck? Probably not enough good blue lands. I don't know. I don't believe that the version you've seen, these Charbelcher decks, these Oops All spell decks, I don't believe the version we're playing today is going to be the final build of this deck. But I am very curious to see where it goes. We'll keep passing the turn, though. Our opponent's just sitting on a mess of counter magic, and I don't even know how we're supposed to win. Okay, well, I mean, heck, we got 5 mana now, I guess. See what we can do with it. One more black land, we're just casting a Salvage Titan. These all seem like reasonable lines of victory, right? Our opponent sits on, I think, double. Yeah, we're just dead. I have no black mana. Alright, GG. It seems like a very difficult matchup, I won't lie. She probably do want this Talisman. No clue what we're going for here. Let's see if we can just high roll a nice opening hand or something, right? We saw nothing that we needed to... Nothing Leyline to worry about, right? I think maybe we have one Leyline in there we don't need now, but... I didn't see anything we needed to be concerned about with the Leylines. Alright, that's a Pentad Prism. I like that. That's a lot of mana. This hand's okay. I mean, I don't know what we're looking for in a hand, per se. But this hand has mana. I like that. It has powerful cards. I like that, and that seems like it shouldn't matter, but look at that last game. I mean, the fact that maybe we just get to fire off Seagate Restorations and turn after turn might add up, right? There's a Leyline of Sanctity. I did not want to draw that. Oh no, I did it wrong. Oh well. I was supposed to play the blue one there, misclick. That's fine, we'll play... We're not doing anything, right? We'll play the Pentad Prism next turn. I guess we're only punished if we draw off one of our combo pieces, which could happen. Hope I don't get punished for the misclick. I haven't paid the life. We're just bluffing our double black spell here. It is, by the way, 4-color Uro. An Uro pile, if you will. Sword of the Meek is not it. Play a Pentad Prism out, see what happens here. If you look at it this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 mana in play right now. This thing only costs 7. Obviously, it's going to get countered, but we got to start doing things to get cards out of their hand, right? Now, I guess we're just going to get Abrupt Decayed here. It seems like a fairly unwinnable matchup, if I were to guess, for a deck like this. I'm pretty happy we even got a game, honestly. I mean, after sideboarding, their deck is literally just going to be nothing but removal and counter spells. Canister, I think, played more Thoughtseizes. In the other list, the list that did better did not play any. So we'll see. I guess, you know, make up your own mind as we play this match how you feel about the role of Thoughtseize in this deck. Well, I guess now we just have to play this. See what happens here. Yeah, it's with that we get strip mined. Pretty rough. Maybe this deck could afford, like, a land? Nope. You can't! That's how it works. There's just nothing you can do about that. Which is an interesting sort of check on the deck, right? You just literally can't play basic lands, so you're just always going to get got by Field of Ruin or Ghost Quarter. That's what's kind of interesting, right? Alright, there's another land, so we can't scoop yet. We'll put it in play. I mean, I say we can't scoop, but what are we supposed to do? Our opponent has 7 cards in hand. And they're not going to do anything until they play an Uro on like turn 9 with 2 counterspell backup for it. I don't actually know how we're supposed to win. Alright, well, I guess we're going to find out, because here we go. I could actually pay for the Pact. For what it's worth. But, look, there's no way this... I mean, our opponent's just going to have another counterspell. Which I guess doesn't end the game. Oh, a Veil of Summer. Cool. That card's pretty unbeatable. Why is this card in my deck? Spells you control can't be countered. Why is this card not in my deck? We have green lands. Put some more green lands in here and play the Veil of Summer's main deck. I cannot pay for the mana leak. I will pass the turn. I mean, I gotta try again if I draw another Undercity Informer. Yeah, it just seems like the dream in this deck, right? Just find a way to get the green sources in here. And you have a 1 mana, like, we're playing these Pact of Negations, which is good, but maybe play some Veil of Summers? I don't know. I guess Pact of Negation is Veil of Summer, it's just free. But, like, the fact that you can cycle this is not terrible. Excuse me, our opponent's just Cryptic Command bouncing, and I assume Mystic Sanctuaries in our future. Oh, okay. They actually, yeah, our spell's still resolved, I guess, because of the way that worked. So, there we go, GG. I mean, look, we had the 4, we couldn't have paid. I mean, we could have paid it with the Spirit Guide, but obviously if we were getting to paying it, we weren't going to win. So, GG's, friend. Don't play against the Cryptic Command Mana Leak deck, I think, is good advice if you're trying to oops all spells in Modern. But a good match nonetheless. This one looks like a keep to me. Look, it's got 3 lands, an Undercity Informer. I think that's all you need. I think that's the magic opener here. Now, will that be good enough against our opponent going Urza's Mine Chromatic Sphere on a keep on 7? I don't know. Although, I say that, Simian Spirit Guide makes it a lot more likely that it'll be good enough. And I guess, frankly, I suppose the turn 3 Karn exiling our lands is what could get us here. That said, I think we win on turn 3 now. Well, clearly our opponent has the turn 3 Tron, because they always have turn 3 Tron here on mine in Modern. But as long as it's not Karn, exile your lands, I think we might be okay. And if I draw Simian Spirit Guide, not quite. We would have really been okay. As it stands, though, and you know what? Well, we have the Balustrade Spy. Yeah, our problem's strictly going to be... Well, you know what? If I... No, that's not good. I was going to say, if I paid 3 and exiled the Simian Spirit Guide to play the Undercity Informer, it's kind of the same thing, where if we untap, we win. If our opponent does have the card, then they have to minus on the Undercity Informer and not a land, and then we can attempt to rebuild up to the Balustrade Spy. But once we blow the Simian Spirit Guide and they still have the Karn, and we don't have more lands in hand, right? They still just... I mean, maybe that would have given us one more draw at a second guide, but the Karn would have just minused on land after that. That said, Walking Ballista we're just going to win the game. They needed exactly Karn liberated as a payoff. They didn't get it, and despite these horrible Leyline of Sanctity draws, we're going to win quite easily, it turns out. Let's go ahead and add this mana now while we can. Whoa, do not want to concede the game. Misclick there. Play the Undercity Informer. Yep, sacrificing a creature. That's part of the cost. So this thing will be in our graveyard and dead before our opponent can do anything with the Walking Ballista. Its ability will be on the stack, and then at that point we will have win the game on the stack, essentially. Target ourselves. Sacrifice this thing. Flip the graveyard, or flip the deck into the graveyard. Get a bunch of triggers. I like this, so this is fun. How can you not have fun doing this right now? Okay, here's the thing. I actually need to resolve this Phantasmagorian. Let me find it. Oh, I have to put him on the stack at least. Sorry. Alright, here we go. I wondered why it wasn't highlighted. Okay, so I will discard the Sword of the Meek, the other Narcomoeba, and the Leyline. I guess I don't get this Narcomoeba back, but that's okay. Sure. Phantasmagorian is now in our hand. We've done it. Truly the secret spice to Modern. Yeah, the pumpkin spice latte of Modern, if you will. By that I mean the thing everyone scoffs at, but maybe you actually like it? I don't know. I'm stretching. I've never had it. I was just trying to be topical. Happy October, everybody. I wish we could go to Halloween parties this year. All right, I'm going to go back to Magic. Get this Narcomoeba into play. Now, here's a question. What happens? Can my opponent actually break this up? Because I don't have the other Narcomoeba? Is that a thing? Did we lose? We're going to lose, right? What do I get to bring it back on? Oh, I don't get to bring it back on empty board. We have a Nexus of Fate in our hand, though. Or in our grave. In our... Huh. What's the plan now? Oh, they do come back. Oh, that was crazy. Okay. For a second there, I thought I was very, very confused. But it turns out I'm not. We're okay. We're still going to win here. For a hot second, though, I thought that was actually going to work. I thought that removing the Narcomoeba made the ability fizzle on resolution or something. It turns out it doesn't. We still get our Vengevines. We still get a crash in for lethal here. It's just a slightly more stressful than you might have thought. This is an insane game one deck. Our opponent just had turn 3 Tron and we just ran over it. Alright. Turn 3, attack you for 16. You thought you were generating the most mana on turn 3. By my count, I have 4 times 4 plus 6. That's 22 mana in play right now. You are dead. All right, on to game 2. Definitely want these nature claims. Definitely probably want a couple Charbelchers in here. Don't really need the Pact. I don't know what the heck you're supposed to cut. I think cutting the ley lines is probably fine. And you know what? They're really easy to cut. They're very low stress. To just cut some ley lines. Give this a shot, I guess. We got a couple Belchers in there. We can lean more heavily towards Belchers if our opponent shows us graveyard hate, I guess. Or I could just work another one in there, honestly. Maybe just cut a... whatever. I could cut another... You know, our opponent's not really blowing up our mana rocks, right? I could just, you know, cut another Talisman. We really only want one anyway. Alright, well, here's land, ramp, but none of the creatures we need. Ship this one. Gosh. This is pretty bad, too. Ship this one, too. I mean, London Mulligan putting it through its paces here, and frankly, it actually just worked out perfectly fine, right? Look, I put the Sword of the Meek on the bottom. I put one of these on the bottom, and I have a turn 3 win on a mold of 5. Is that what I'm looking at? I think it is. Alright, Urza's Mine, Grafdigger's Cage. Well, we no longer have a free win. I'll say that. How about that? We no longer have the turn 3. Our opponent has the cage. What is this art, by the way? I haven't seen this. Magic Online exclusive art. It is, in fact, a cage around probably somebody named Grafdigger, I guess. Alright, map and land from our opponent. So, Tron keeps on coming and it don't stop coming and it don't stop coming. And I guess we just play our Pentad Prism here. And see what happens. I mean, look, we draw Nature's Claim, everything's fine and dandy, we win the game, right? We don't? Well, you know, we don't. It's that simple, I think. We have 53 cards in our deck. 4 of them are Nature's Claim. I guess actually 2 of them on the bottom are not Nature's Claim, so our effective deck size is 51. 4 out of 51. What we're looking for to try to win the game here. Our opponent, this is bizarre to me, but okay. I have so many things going through my mind right now. And I'm actually going to play this Balustrade Spy, because why wouldn't I guess, right? And I'm going to target them. And I'm going to attack with it as a 2/3 flyer. And we will have a clock in play, dang it. Well, the Tron lands. Oh, okay. We got rid of one. Hey, we built their O-Stone. That's nice. O-Stone's like an onboard answer to us, right? Once they get into play, if they have the 5-mana open to activate it. What does this card do? Okay. Oh, this card's good. I should play this card. I should actually cast this card some, right? Like next turn, as a matter of fact. Because I don't think we're getting Tron until next turn. So I can actually play this card, try to take their payoff here. Why not? Yeah, I could maybe cast this thing one day. All right, well, let's get in there with that, and then let's hit our opponent with this, I guess. We will pay 3 mana. I don't even remember what the original card is, but coercion maybe. 3 mana, look at your hand, let us take one of them. Gosh, it's even conditional. I mean, that makes sense. It's obviously very broken. Well, it's got to be the Karn Liberated, I guess. Frankly, it all seems like a problem, but all right. We draw Nature's Claim next turn. I think we got it. That might be our last chance, though. I have to say, and I think that I really need to learn this better, I think, with the London Mulligan, but is mulliganing. I think I'm really bad at mulliganing. I keep hands I should, and I do think some percentage of the games here on Mining Modern, Punting Pioneer that I lose because I keep bad hands. And in this case, I feel like I went to 5 and it was the right thing to do, and we actually ended up with a good hand. And when you're playing these kind of combo decks like this that are really powered up by the London Mulligan, or you're playing a deck like Tron, I think you're supposed to be really aggressive with your mulligans, and that's something I think I need to get better at myself. In the meantime, though, we're what you call very, very dead. Guess we'll attack. I could also play these creatures out, send them all at my opponent, try to mill them out, hope that, hey, they just all their lands are on the bottom or something. I don't really know what the plan there would be. Undercity Informer pass the turn. We do have chump blocks. As a matter of fact, I can chump block the Wormcoil Engine and then, before damage is dealt, but after blockers are declared, sacrifice the Undercity Informer, mill my opponent, and they don't gain life because the Wormcoil Engine will never actually deal damage. That's not a viable route to winning this game, unfortunately, much as I like our 2/3 flyer here. But it does, it is kind of necessary for our opponent to not have 40 life or whatever for our deck to work. All His Dust is certainly a card here. Not sure it's a card that matters much, though. It doesn't really... I mean, it's fine for my opponent. I don't get to do some of my tricks. It doesn't matter much for us, really. It's the same thing. We draw Nature's Claim, we win. We don't, we lose. But it allows our opponent to sacrifice their Sanctum of Ugin. They wouldn't got a World Breaker, so they're going to start attacking our mana next turn. Well, I think we got a 1-turn window right now. This is going to be a tense one. If the top card of our deck is a Nature's Claim, I think we've got it. Not quite, friends. We're not dead per se. And you know what? No, per se, we're just not dead. I actually can't remove the Prism counter to make red because my opponent's probably going to exile my Swamp next turn, which means I have to keep the Pentad Prism for our black mana. But we can't deal 28 damage to our opponent, so we might just be dead no matter what, is the thing. Right? That's a real thing. The Vengevines are 16, the Creeping Chills are 12. Well, I guess actually it is 28, but with the World Breaker to block for our opponent, we actually just don't have outs. Doesn't even matter what we're going to draw, we don't have outs, and we weren't going to hit it anyway. Fair enough. All right, that's fine, though. It is what it is. We got Troned once. It's a long-time viewers, as Mighty Modern know. Tron is my nemesis. Is this keepable? Ooh, it's kind of keepable. I think it's keepable. I'm going to keep it. This is a heck of a Magic hand. I think it's correct, though. I think this is a turn 3 win. Now, look. As usual, If my opponent has the sideboard cards, I can't win. But it's a turn 3 win otherwise. Because look, I get to play the Seagate, Reborn. I don't know how bridges live and die, I guess. But whatever, I'm not as into card native. Seagate Reborn, taps for blue. The Simian Spirit Guide, that one will add red here on turn 1. The Talisman of Resilience will come out. And on turn 2, we'll play a Pentad Prism. And on turn 3, we'll play a Balustrade Spy. Hope that it's good enough. I think this is the right line here. Just don't play any of this. Don't play any of this. Show me Nature's Claim, I guess. Not Nature's Claim. It is a land, at least. I'm trying to figure out if I... What if I wanted to just cast this card, like, next turn? I think I have to play it. Alright, well, we'll play our Pentad Prism. Look, Charbelcher's a good draw. Next turn, I guess. I mean, it's pretty insane, right? Turn 1 Talisman, turn 2 Prism. It's just... The thing is, our deck... It's just hard, right? If once your opponent relics you... You have a Nexus of Fate, so you're not dead, but you're still kind of dead, right? You know, what are we going to do? Especially when you can't even just play the card. We just have to find Nature's Claim. That simple. In the meantime, I guess I could pay mana to cast Creeping Chill on my opponent. I will not be burning a Pentad Prism counter that way, but unfortunately, that is where we're going to be at next turn. It'll be casting Creeping Chills, but... You know, look, if our opponent had kept a different hand, one that didn't have the sideboard card, one that instead just had the Karn, had a turn 3 Karn, we would have just steamrolled them. Turn 3 Karn, game over, you're never going to get to play it, but instead they have the turn 1 Relic hand, that is much better against us. That's kind of the thing you have to keep in mind when you're playing Modern. You always go through when you're playing against these combo decks. Well, yeah, I don't have the hate I wanted, I don't have the sideboard cards, but I have a good hand. Is that good enough? You know, Modern is increasingly becoming a format, and it's natural, but where it's kind of literally, it's the Belcher test in Legacy. Now it's the Belcher test in Modern. Do you have Force of Will? Is Force of Negation in your hand? Well, then ship it, because otherwise you will lose to this deck doing something broken. And look at this, actually. Speaking of broken things, let's play a Vengevine. Guess we'll attack for 4. You know, I don't want to play down the power of a Vengevine just swinging for damage here when we have 2 Creeping Chills in our hand representing an additional 6 points of burn. If our opponent is just stumbling and bumbling on mana over there and are messing around with the Blast Zone and all of this stuff, we'll get them. And the thing is, they're also further taxed because they have to leave up the 1 mana for the power plant, or I'm sorry, for the relic. With this power plant right now, they always have to have 1 mana open, or they just die. Now, obviously, they were able to filter into green there for Sylvan Scry, and getting lands is what Tron does, but yeah, Vengevine's still getting in there, right? And we'll just draw another one, swing for 8. Draw Balustrade Spy. That attacks too. Now I'm kind of wishing I'd played that first one, right? We have him at 14 right now. All right, mill until we hit something. What do we hit? I actually got quite a few cards. Not that it really matters. Until you mill, all their Tron lands of a particular kind. All right, well, I guess we get in for 4. They are down to 12. Matter of fact, they're down to 12, and they're down to 6 next turn, and we have 2 Creeping Chills in our hand. They literally just take 1 more hit from our creatures, and they're dead. They have Tron. We'll see what they do. Is it a Worm Coil? That's the card I am unlikely to beat. So it is. Yeah, that checks out. All right, well, all that would have been different is that they would have been at 8 right now, and we would have still been dead to this Worm Coil engine. Let's see what we hit, though. Hey, one time, I just want to draw a Narcomoeba. Come on. I'm sorry, Narcomoeba. I want to draw Nature's Claim. Just let me get him. Can I do anything here? I can attack for 2 in the air. Put him to 10. I mean, can we race the Worm Coil? We go to 8, they go to 16. What if I just cast the other Balustrade Spy? That would actually, honestly, maybe have been a consideration if this game had played out slightly differently. As it stands now, I don't think we can beat the Worm Coil. But what if we'd gotten 2 extra? What if they were at 6 right now from that? If we just run out this other Balustrade Spy, if we'd realized that our opponent was going to stumble on mana and we were just supposed to beat down with our overcrossed creatures, we could have them at like 6 right now. And then the Worm Coil attack, putting them at 12, actually just leaves them dead to us cracking back for, it would have been 9 plus the Creeping Chill. So, food for thought, I guess, if you're thinking about building this deck at home. All right, the first shit we have to, I think we probably just take all the hits here, go down to 2 from it. I don't think we can win, but look, if our opponent were to just somehow do nothing here, which is unlikely, and then we were to draw another Vengevine, then we're racing. The Worm Coil, though. So, we're looking for Belcher, I think. Belcher or Bust, most likely. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana right now. 7's the magic number for Goblin Charbelcher, but we don't even have the Belcher. So, this is going to be rough. That seems to be what this deck is. You're probably just going to, lulz, stomp people in game 1. Which, hey, I'm all about that. But then you get to, games 2. Games 2 and 3, things start to really be an uphill battle. All right, well, all of that said, the game is not over. Assuming our opponent doesn't do anything too disastrous for us here, like Ulamog or whatever, we could still hit Nature's Claim, and we could still blow up the Relic of Progenitus, and then play the Balustrade Spy and flip our deck. This game isn't over. Actually, I say that. I don't even know if the Vengevines can beat double Worm Coil at this point. I suppose they'll be attacking me. So they'll be at 23. Can I deal 23? I don't think I can. If I get all the Vengevines, I'm still only looking at 18. And we know we only have 1 Creeping Chill left. So I actually think we're dead even if we combo, now that I think about it. But we'll take one more draw step here and see what happens. We had a window. Look, we had a turn 3 win in our hand. Our opponent had the Sideboard hate. So that's what this deck is, it seems. Glass Cannon as all heck. And you know what? I do love a Glass Cannon combo deck. It is kind of my jam, I won't lie. Our opponent actually just has it, so we're dead. GG's. All right, well, let's talk about this deck. I don't know. I don't know what I would change because I cannot pretend to know what I'm doing with this thing. Hopefully you got an idea of what the deck looks like watching me stumble through with it. But I do look at something like, maybe the 3rd Talisman, maybe a land, maybe a Leyline, maybe roll with 3 Leylines or something. Now, you could free up a couple spots, I think, to either play 4 Thoughtseize or to play 4 Serum Visions or something. Something to smooth this deck out a little bit. And if people ever figure out a cleaner engine for flipping your deck into your graveyard than what we see here, this deck is going to be a nightmare. If you figure out something that doesn't take, all of these slots with these Sword of the Meeks and Talismans and Salvage Titan, you're looking at something like 6 to 10 spots, I think. If you were able to switch to a different engine that required fewer things, you'd then have room for that deck smoothness. Because when it comes down to it, it's a 1-card combo. You play Balustrade Spy or Undercity Informer and you win. And while this is likely the best combo available to us right now with this whole Salvage Titan to get your Vengevines loop, always just 1 card away from something crazy happening, right? You never know. But I have to say, this is a mighty modern deck if I've ever seen one, and it was a ton of fun. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. I'm Corbin Hosler. I'll see you next week.